Hello, Fort Belvoir. Welcome to Belvoir in the Know, the only podcast created especially for the Fort Belvoir community to help you stay in the know on the go. I'm Command Sergeant Major Greg Kleinholz, the Garrison Command Sergeant Major.
And I'm Colonel Josh Seagraves, the Garrison Commander. Today we've got a special guest, as we do most podcasts. This week, Miss Joselyn Uribe is joining us. She is the Chief of the Military Personnel Division from the Directorate of Human Resources. So today we're going to talk about ID cards and passports, two hot topics on Fort Belvoir that sort of continually come up. So Joselyn, welcome to the Belvoir in the Know podcast. Thank you for joining us. Can you just tell us a little bit about your role in MPD and how you assist the Fort Belvoir community?
Hello, sir. It's good to be here. As mentioned, my name is Joselyn Uribe. I am the Chief of the Military Personnel Division. We support every soldier on the installation upon their arrival to Fort Belvoir, throughout their tour, and during their out processing. That's
a lot that you all do over there, Joselyn. So today we're talking about identification cards. So what's the biggest challenge in obtaining a new identification card? Why does it seem so long to get an appointment?
There's a large population in the NCR. While Belvoir may be the preferred place to come to, there are other ID card offices like Quantico, Fort Myer, Andrews, and Fort Meade. There are extensions on the ID card dates as of this moment, but we ask that dependents come in and renew their cards sooner than later.
That's good. I think there's been a change in the minimum age requirement for an ID card. What is that new age?
So dependent children must be age 14, which is a change from the previous policy of 10 years old.
Yeah, so that's a big difference.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Just to mention, I'm not sure how widely known that is. The other thing I'd say is, Joselyn, you sort of like breezed over like, hey, we do in processing and out processing and other things, but like there's a lot, as Sergeant Major said, there's a lot to those steps and a lot that happens over at MPD for the community. So, it's a heavy lift, and ID cards and passports aren't the only things that you're taking care of. So it's just like, everybody should keep that in mind when they have something that needs to be addressed over at MPD. Can you tell us a little bit about the renewal process for spouses and family members?
The best option right now is to go onto the Fort Belvoir website and make an online appointment. We also have walk-ins on Fridays, and we have a mail-in option which allows patrons to email our office their documents, and we contact customers once the ID card is produced. Each ID card takes about 20 to 30 minutes since it's a new card. The time frame is due to the system because it's not the same as the previous identification card.
Yeah, that card has changed significantly in the past for those of our listeners who may not know. So on Monday through Thursday, you take walk-ins throughout the course of the day. So what's the priority of service to customers who come to the ID card facility?
So Monday through Thursdays, our priority are appointments. Following that, soldiers in uniform, lost stolen IDs, and pin resets.
Good. So what about Fridays?
Fridays are walk-in day. We allow first come, first serve. And we could process about 64 cards any given Friday.
Okay, good. So if a customer is coming in for a PIN reset, are there any other options for them?
Yes. So they can go to their servicing agencies such as DLA, if they belong to DLA, NGA, and if you work for the hospital, you could go over to the Army Community Services.
That's good. So there's other options for the service member if they did need a PIN reset, as you mentioned. So that's good.
So one thing we kind of breezed over a little bit, I want to just take a step back for a second. So what do customers need to bring in when they want to renew their ID card? So what documents do they need?
So they would need two forms of ID. One of the ID must be a valid photo ID, not expired. The second form can be a social security card, a birth certificate, a passport, or voter registration card.
And then let's talk about passports for a second on Fort Belvoir. So specifically within the Garrison and within MPD, what does a passport renewal look like, or a passport application?
So we ask that soldiers start the process as soon as they know they're going overseas. The MPD, we have 2 personnel trained passport agents that receive the application, and we submit those applications to the IMCOM passport office for processing. So we're just like an intake center.
Yeah, I think so. That's an important distinction, and we talked about this with some of our partners when we had our installation planning board earlier this month. But the distinction that's important for everyone to take away is, if you turn in a passport application at MPD, they're going to intake that application, make sure the information is correct, and then transfer those applications to the Passport Services Division, owned by IMCOM, not Fort Belvoir. So then the rest of the process happens at the Passport Services Division. And so that's basically it, correct?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, I think sometimes it hasn't been clear that, like, the Garrison does not own the Passport Services Division, but that should clear it up now. The other thing I think I'd like to point out, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that there are two personnel within MPD that intake those passport applications. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. We have 2 personnel that intake the documents Monday through Friday, 8 to 1600, by appointment only.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's important. And that's an additional duty for those 2. They're doing other things throughout the day. So that's the importance of, again, the importance of appointments and making sure that we not only manage our time correctly in the Garrison, but that we're able to sort of help everybody else manage their time. So if they have an appointment, they should be good to go on turning those in. Good. And then one other thing that we missed that I want to talk about. So missed appointments. We talked about walk-ins on Fridays. We talked about number of appointments per day, number of clerks at the office. So what, if you do the math, total appointments per week works out to about 512 appointments. Over the last about 3 to 4 weeks per week, we've had an average missed appointments for the ID cards in our office between 150 and 200 missed appointments, which is astronomical when you consider that there are only about 512 available per week on any given week, on a 5-day week at the Fort Belvoir ID card office. So a couple of things that the community can help us out to do, and that is make your appointment. If you're going to miss your appointment, then you should call MPD and say, hey, I'm going to miss my appointment. And what that'll do is then allow you, Joselyn, and MPD to manage more accurately the walk-in appointments for any given day. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think that's sort of a critical one there. Okay, anything else you want to share with the audience?
Sir, as you mentioned, I just want everyone to remember to keep their appointments. Again, as you mentioned, they could call or they could go online by using their confirmation number. This is a joint effort. We're trying to get everyone in, as many people as we can in and process through. And again, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today in order to increase our efficiencies.
Thank you, Joselyn. So I think that about wraps it up. We've come to the end of another podcast. Thank you for joining us today. Any final thoughts, Sergeant Major?
Yes, sir. The salient point is that the Military Personnel Division is very busy, not only with ID cards and passports, but also cutting orders and many other actions. So if you need an appointment, go on the website, book your appointment. If you need to cancel it, which is okay, please give us enough time so that we can service other members of the community with their new ID cards.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the other, the other kind of point is that, we're a professional organization. And so if you give us just a little bit of heads up, if you can give us 24 hours, and granted, you're not always going to be able to know that you're going to miss an appointment 24 hours beforehand. But if you are, and you can let us know 24 hours out or a couple hours, 2, 3, 4 hours ahead of time, that'll allow the office to manage those walk-ins when people come in for sort of, closer to an emergency situation that needs to be that they need assistance with. Very good point, Sergeant Major. Thank you. So just a couple of closing thoughts. Don't forget to download the digital Garrison app and make Fort Belvoir your installation of choice. Connect with us on our website and our social media platforms for all things Belvoir. Continue to wash your hands, watch your distance, and wear a mask. And the COVID vaccine is readily available, widely available in this area in particular. So if you haven't got vaccinated, I encourage you to do so or get educated if you need more education. Finally, thanks for joining us. From me to you, and now you know.